Hey, how's everyone doing? This is Melvin here, and really looking forward to today's show, primarily because I have got some big news to announce. And the big news is about the victory that I experienced today, and the victory that I deserved. Now, before that, I just like to kind of let you in on what's been happening right now. What I have been doing is that I am actually, doing a webinar next week on Thursday, and the webinar it's centered around the whole idea of how you could leverage LinkedIn, how you could leverage LinkedIn as a platform post COVID-19. Now, because the point is that LinkedIn has changed its algorithm significantly, and that's not something to be surprised of. However, if you are using these three techniques, then there's nothing for you to worry about because whatever the algorithm is, you are definitely going to be able to leverage LinkedIn. And so that's my webinar that I'm going to be doing, and that's something that I will be sharing with you about, plus sharing with you the landscape of what we're looking at post COVID-19, because I think very much some of the assumptions that we have had before COVID-19, many of those assumptions needs to be revalidated if that is going to be true anymore, right? Thank you, Benedict, for jumping in the show and for leaving a comment. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the webinar as well, right? Yeah. So the key point here is that post COVID-19, many of the assumptions that we once had, it's definitely going to be challenged, right? Some of these assumptions, many of the decisions that is predicated based on what we assume to be true, or what we assume that is going to continue happening post COVID-19, I think that becomes a big question mark. And so that's what I want to get into. And on top of that, I would also want to share with you in terms of the what you can expect when it comes to post COVID-19 and how you can use LinkedIn. So if you want to be leveraging LinkedIn, and you want to see how you could leverage that and reach your business goals, then the webinar is something that you definitely want to check it out. Plus, for the very first time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record the webinar. And so, even if you might not be able to attend the webinar in its entirety because it's 1 hour, but I'm going to give you lots of stuff. So, even in the event that you sign up and you attend, but you can't stay for the entire session itself, rest assured that as long as you sign up, you will be getting an archive recording we would do in the webinar itself, right? Like I said, I am a consultant, and people pay me to give them advice. So I will be making you an offer during the webinar itself. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, it's entirely up to you. If you should take up the offer if it helps you. If not, no worries, right? Because it's not a switch and bait strategy. Basically, is you would learn something, and if the offer is something that is beneficial to you, I don't see why you would not take it up. So those are some of the things that I want to share with you here before I get into today's segment, right? Today's episode itself. So before I talked about why I say victory is sweet, it's because I like to give you the context of things. Now, for those of you who ever had, right? I mean, if you have worked with clients, inevitably you are going to come across good clients, great clients, and some really, bad clients. I mean, you know, I, I would even venture to say that they're not just bad. Some of them are malicious, right? And so in the course of 2018, as many of you know, I created a bunch of videos on LinkedIn, and my exposure was significant enough to attract brand names as well as local businesses that want to work with me. Now, what happened was during the course of 2018 and 2019, I began to get lots of projects and lots of opportunities. Almost all of the opportunities were great opportunities, right? Because clients were good. They value what I do. They value, the work that I bring to the table. In a rare occasion, I do get one or two not so good clients. And what happened, in that process itself was that, we all went into this contract with good intent. I mean, we want to do the best for our clients, and we want to do, the best work possible. That said, I'm sure some of you would have come across situations whereby clients refuse to pay, and they decided to nitpick with you about, this is not good enough. This is what you say, but this is not up to my expectation. Although the work is done, it becomes I'm not happy with the work that you do, so I'm not going to pay you, right? And I would say that if that happened to me maybe 5 or 10 years ago, I would probably walked away. But in 2019, if you do that to me, I will have no doubt and I will have no qualms taking you to court. And that's exactly what I did. In 2019, I went into this contract with a local company, and the local company agreed to pay me a 6-figure, contract. Now, in the process of working with them, of course, we discuss certain projects, certain expectations. However, there was never a clear definition of what they want. And as it turns out, this client is someone who doesn't know what he or she wants. He and she, both of them, right? They do not know what they want. And as a result of them not knowing what they want, whatever you give them, come back and say that, well, and I mean, that is fine, but to accuse me of not being professional and and accuse me of wanting to collect money and not do any work, that is tainting my reputation. And so, in 2019, if you do that to me, I have no qualms taking you to court. And that's exactly what I did. I took this client to court, and in the first part of the process, we went through a mediator, right? So we went through a mediator, and I was disappointed with the mediation process because I felt that the mediator was not doing any form of mediation whatsoever. She was merely just conveying the message from one side to the other, right? So in my point of view as a mediator, you would then be advising both parties where you think both parties is correct and where both parties is at fault, and where both parties, when it comes to the evidences that is being submitted, what will be deemed as valid and what will be deemed as invalid or non-substantial or not going to be permissible. However, the mediator did nothing of that sort. she basically just asked, me and the client to tell our side of the story. And of course, we wouldn't agree on each other's story. And that's why we went to the mediator. Now, when we went to the mediator, like I say, all she did was just listen to both sides of the story and then afterwards convey the intent of both parties to one another. Now, I do not know about you, but that doesn't sound like mediation. It's just, because both parties have straight relationships on talking. So this is a guy who, let me tell you what she said. Oh, let me tell you what I say, and that's it. And so the went nowhere, and what I look at it was that my mistake was that I did not get the client to sign off the work that I did, and as a result of that, that cost me dearly. And so, at the end of the whole mediation process, we had a choice, or I had a choice to pursue this in court or not. And so at the point in time, I decided that, I would not pursue the matter in court because, I do not want to drag this on, because I also know that, my evidences, because I did not get the client to sign off the work that I did, whatever evidences that I submit can be called to question. And so I decided to walk away from this whole entire episode itself because I felt that it was just wasting time. And at the end of the day, both parties are going to lose because, they are not going to be able to get whatever they claim for. And neither can I see that, I will be able to claim for the work that I've done. And so I decided to not pursue the matter. However, they decided to pursue the matter. And in addition to that, they decided to defame me and to say certain things about me, which is totally, not true. And so as a result of that, I decided that, this has to go to the law of court, primarily for the fact that I want to clear my reputation, because I don't care about the money. What I care about is my reputation, right? Because if you are going to defame me, if you're going to say something about me, then you should well be able to back up with rock solid evidence, or else, I'm going to take you to task. I'm going to take you to court. It's not a matter of, like I say, it's not a matter of money. It's a matter of principles. It's a matter of my reputation. And so that's exactly what I did. I must tell you, it was a difficult 6 months because this issue started in January, and only today did the issue end. And finally, I am able to put this thing behind me and move on. And so the judgment that was given today by the court was that they found that I did my work. The court found that I did my work. However, because of the way that my evidences were presented, the court was not satisfied that the work, that the evidences that I provided substantiated the work that I did. Now, I want to go into the details of it, but primarily the thing was that the court found the client to be wrong and for their claim to be baseless, and hence, as a result of that, the entire claim was dismissed and it was thrown out of the court. In addition to that, what's more important, apart from their claims being dismissed, was the fact that the court found that they breached the contract. And that's a very significant point, because the fact that they breached the contract means that they are the one who actually created the circumstance that doesn't require me to complete my end of the contract anymore. Because if the contract was not breached and I did not complete the job, then I would be deemed to have breached the contract. Now, it doesn't make sense when you engage me to do work and I complete 2/3 of it and you're not gonna pay me. I think I would be crazy to complete the last 1/3 of it. And because of that, I didn't complete the work, and because of that, the contract, technically speaking, was not fulfilled. However, my argument was that because they breached the contract in the first place, and hence, as a result of that, I am in no obligation to complete the work that is required in the project itself. And so I won. And the point of the matter, like I mentioned, it is not about the money, but it is about the integrity and the reputation that I have. So why am I telling you this, and why am I sharing with you this? First and foremost, I'm not bothered if you are going to judge me. But what's going to be more important is that I would like you to pay attention to some of these significant things, especially if you are a freelancer or if you are a solopreneur, for example, and that you are dealing with businesses or companies that has no qualms taking legal action against you. And because you're like the small guy, you may not be in a position, or you may not have the resources to do that. Then, this is really important. You have to listen up. So first thing first, in the eyes of the court, the contract, it's the most important thing. So rule number one is that if you're going to enter into a contract with anybody, right? Any person, whether the person is your friend, whether the person is, someone credible who referred you to them, which in my case, that was what happened. It doesn't matter who it is. What matters is that you have a rock solid contract that is screened and vetted by a lawyer. Now, if you do not know a good lawyer, you need a lawyer who is able to help you look at contracts, let me know. I know this guy who is good at what he does, and he is able to help you look at your contract. So first thing first, in the eyes of the law, the first thing that they're going to base on is the contract. So make sure that you get a rock solid contract written out. Do not, attempt to write the contract by yourself, because unless you are legally trained. If you're not, do not attempt to write that contract by yourself, because you never know, and you do not know what are some of the things that can come back and bite you. So that's number one. Number two is that, especially as a solopreneur or a freelancer, the most important thing that you have to do is, whenever you complete a job, you need to get the client to sign off, right? Even if it's mundane, even if it's small little teeny weeny itsy bitsy tasks, make sure you get the client to sign off. So the basic principles is that it has to be done in writing, okay, and it has to be communicated to the client. It doesn't matter if the client did not acknowledge. The best is that if you can get them to sign off, but the second best is that you have to communicate to them, and you have to put it down in writing. You must be able to substantiate. You've got to put it down in writing. Of course, you're not going to make up fake evidences, which obviously in this case the client did, but that's a separate story altogether. So what you want to do is, you want to make sure that you submit your work, whatever that work is, you submit that work, and then you get the client to sign off. If you cannot get the client to sign off, the next best thing to do is to put it down and communicate to them, whether by way of email or by text messages or WhatsApp messages. All these are permissible and admissible in the court itself. So that's number 2. Now, number 3 is that whenever there is any communication of any variation of the work that was communicated to you, right? As long as you feel that that area of work is outside of the scope of the project, whether or not you're going to charge them additional, that's besides the point. But if there is going to be any form of variation, right, you want to put that down. And you want to impress upon the client that this is a deviation from the original scope of work. And then you can decide whether you want to charge them or you want to do it as a form of goodwill, right? But you have to put it down. You have to get them to acknowledge it. If not, the minimal thing is that it must be communicated to them. All right. The other thing is that, of course, when it comes to payment, payment must always be documented, right? So whenever you get any form of payment itself, it has to be documented. Please do not be slack in this area, because it's going to really, really be crucial when it comes to the court ruling itself, right? So payment is the other thing. And finally, I would still suggest that, if you are performing any form of work that is outside of the scope of the project itself, you have to get, if you want to be safe, you want to get an attorney or a lawyer or someone who is a legal advisor to help you look at that before you set it off to the client. All right. With that itself, when you go to court, you have all the evidences and you have a rock solid chance of making a claim against the client. Now, no one, let's put it this way, no one goes into any project or any contract thinking that they're going to screw you. I would like to believe that that's not how and that's not what people think. That said, you never know. So never expose yourself unnecessarily and put yourself in that kind of a situation. You always want to take care of your interests, because let me tell you this, like I said, it's not the money, it's the reputation. And in addition to that, it's absolutely unnecessary. It's absolutely unnecessary. Okay, so that's what I want to say to you today. Once again, if you are available next week, Wednesday at 4 p.m. Singapore time, this is where I'm going to be running my webinar. And if you are looking at LinkedIn, you want to be using LinkedIn to help you with your you want to use LinkedIn in this climate to help you either get a job or to get leads itself. This webinar, it's for you. Let me put the link down in the comments so that you can actually come in here. So let me just do that. Just give me 1 second, right? Of course, like I said, if you have a question for me, I'll be more than happy to answer that. If not, I would like to see you at the webinar, right? So that's it. That is the URL that you will go to take a look at the webinar and to see if that is something that it's going to be applied to you. It's going to be helpful for you. If it is, I suggest that you sign up, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you the 3 techniques that I use on LinkedIn. And I know that that's definitely something that's going to work for post COVID-19 because I've been doing that in the last couple of months. And that's how it got me to build what I am building now. So if you want to use LinkedIn as a place to do your research, to find your customers, and also to find people that you can collaborate with, that is the place to be. Now, once again, like I said, I'm a consultant. People pay me to give them advice. And so what I'm going to do is during the webinar itself, I'm going to make you an offer. As I mentioned, the offer is something that I think it will be helpful to you. If it is, please take up the opportunity to take advantage of the offer because it is a good one. If it's not, no sweat, no stress, you can just leave. But knowing that the webinar is recorded and you will get a copy of the recording once it's done. So at any point in time, you can always refer to that. And even if you cannot attend, you would know that at the end of that webinar, it's going to be a live webinar. It's not a recorded one. At the end of the webinar, after the webinar is done, you will have access to the recording. So you can watch it at your leisure. And I think I believe the techniques will still be valid unless you're going to be watching this like 5 years later. However, the offer might not be valid anymore. So just to take note that is going to be the case. Where to sign up? That is the URL to sign up. Make sure you go there, sign up. And if that's something that you feel that it's going to be right for you, sign up. If not, don't sign up. All right. So once again, I hope you have a good evening here on in the Friday evening here in Singapore. And whatever you do, stay safe. And go give your loved one a hug. All right. So this is Melvin. I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye-bye.